Okay, I have a new conspiracy theory. Max is M14's long-lost sibling that got repurposed.
私のパラシュートを見たことがありますか?
With Max, Simo, and Ksenia, who scored 5.7k in EP5. In this video, I go over the rationale for picking these dolls and cover character-specific tips and tricks so you too can maximize their performance should you choose to use them. If you want a higher level strategy guide on how I get incredibly high scores using only 3 dolls every season with effortless ease, I cover the score, map, functions, and more EP mechanics in my EP3 video. Once again, Micah has been kind enough to leave us Persica and Croc, so this time I picked Simo, Max, and Ksenia. So Simo is a great sniper on this map. His passive grants stealth and helps reposition. So he has unparalleled survivability on maps where one ranged unit has to be exposed. You'll notice I use his ult quite frequently to help de-aggro enemies targeting Max or other ranged units. I might be wrong, but I think he is also incredibly strong once you pick up some crit-related functions. The thing is, mixing damage types in EP is not as bad as usual campaign missions, where the hash/attack trade-off protocol is one of the best ones available. Ksenia just happens to be a doll I wanted to test. I tested her during the closed beta, and she was very underwhelming compared to Nanaka. Her passive hash buff is tiny and also very limiting. Her auto skill could be nice if you need shields and armor without having to worry about overhealing, but it only applies to the one doll she applies her passive to at the beginning of battle. I wouldn't even recommend using her ult for hypercarry memes because we have Florence. Finally, we have Max, the star of this week. She has strong AoE and managed to zap Eucharist into submission. True damage is worth more as the enemies get stronger, and I think if you get lucky, the stun can maybe help interrupt enemy cast skills. But to be honest, she is a fairly basic unit without much flair. All around, she just has solid stats and good numbers in her skills. Of course, you'll want to mind your positioning and make sure her orb travels across a clump of enemies for as long as possible. Hubble's ult helps clump up enemies, and Simo's ult can help save her in a pinch. So that is a quick summary of why I picked the ones I picked. Functions. Which functions should you pick? Of course, first off, the two best standalone functions for Medic and Guard are Speedy Aid and Crisis Management. If you want to know more, I'll put a link to my EP3 video where I talk about the logic behind function priorities and how you can categorize them to plan out your EP in advance. But if you need more Medic or Guard functions to survive, I believe the sets Enhanced Healing and Supplemental Overdose provide the most raw healing. But I haven't tested Substance Reversal enough to be certain. I try not to invest too much into guard functions this season because if you have a warrior, you can bench Croc for more damage in the battle against Eucharist. Quick disclaimer, my following analysis of the functions will be heavily weighted towards the final boss fight. If you're using a sniper team comp like I did, you should be aiming for structural embrittlement, especially with Hubble and Max. At 4 pieces, we're talking 100% hash bonus plus 30% damage increase. Freezing bullets require the full set to be useful, and at that point, I'd rather have structural embrittlement. I do, however, like uranium rounds and lethal transference against Eucharist. That's the set lethal combo. The 120% true damage is really good and better than the other 7 30% attack missiles that barely tickle against enemies with higher defense. And without lesser sanctifiers in the final fight, there's no risk of losing the 30% buff from uranium rounds, which makes Mytho Combo a safe, low investment set where you only need 2 functions. With Chanji, Simo, and Hubble, you definitely want burst shooting, deadly blow, and coordinated crit to complement each other. Together they stack crit into ridiculous amounts of damage, and personally, penetration streak and rapid firing are another safe, low investment pair. That's the burst shooting set. Ideally, you want the full set because the 50% crit damage scales much faster than its deadly blow counterpart or equivalent. For deadly blow, Bloodthirsty Rhythm is the worst function in the set. The rest are all amazing if the fights last longer than a couple skill rotations. The 4-piece set bonus might not be as good as burst shooting, but the functions themselves are worth it, and you kind of end up having the full set anyway. Finally, a full coordinated crit set pays dividends, especially in an algoless environment where the crit rate helps a lot. I'd say no kill like Overkill and Inspirational Shot are the bare minimum, but once again, this is one of the sets you really want to have. Ultimately, you'll want to have a mix of these function sets. If you count them up, that is 1 medic function, 1 guard function, 8 to 10 sniper functions, and 6 to 8 crit related functions. And if you're not consistently getting 16 to 18 function slots minimum, then you should be watching my EP3 video where I cover the tips and tricks to abusing EP mechanics to unlock more function slots. Originally, I had a good run that was looking to be a solid 4.7k score, but I scuttled it by picking the 40% attack speed protocol on layer 2. Needless to say, I wasn't able to clear layer 3 and had to reset from the start. Disheartened by the wasted run, I caved in and leveled them a bit to make things easier. I had no idea it would be this easy with a bunch of free 2-star dolls that everyone should have access to. Finally, tip of the week. If you didn't know, you can use Tornado to dodge the slash. Keep an eye out for the target symbol at your doll's feet. Ideally, you use the defensive Tornado that also grants stealth after it ends. Similarly, you can interrupt the Flying Tentacle and Tropics during their AoE skill duration. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know down below what team you used to clear Season 5 of Exception Protocol.